Good morning, April the 17th, Friday morning, and it's warming up a little bit this week. Thankful for that. We have been talking about diligence and dominion. Dominion being defined very basically, bringing order out of chaos. You've got a laundry basket full of clothes, you fold them, you've brought order out of chaos. You've got dishes in the sink, they get washed and put away, order out of chaos. You have a bed that you crawl out of in the morning, you go ahead and make that. You exercise diligence. You do something that brings order out of chaos. You're diligent to be faithful in those tasks. Talking about that, we use several examples. We've looked at George Washington. We've looked at Abraham. We've looked at the rebuilding of the walls. We've looked at Solomon as he commanded his son on watching an ant and how it lives, taking note of that and being wise, taking knowledge and using wisdom. We talked about preparing for our daily needs and even into the future, like the ant prepares for winter by setting aside food stores, unlike the grasshopper in that same portion of Scripture in Proverbs chapter 6 that is a fool and doesn't do that and doesn't have anything for the winter to eat. What's our concern? The concern then that is usually on the lips of most people is covetousness, hoarding, greed. We don't want to do that, and I agree completely. Listen to Luke chapter number 6. Now we know what Exodus 20:17 tells us, and we're going through the commandments in our Bible college lectures. It says, "Thou shalt not covet, because being greedy is no small matter." Listen to this warning in Luke chapter 6, verse 32. "For if you love them which love you, what thank have you? For sinners also love those that love them." That's easy to understand. "And if you do good to them which do good to you, what thank have you? For sinners also even do the same." I mean, that makes sense. "And if you lend to them of whom ye hope to receive, what thank have you?" You're going to lend something to somebody. Boy, I hope I get something back for lending them this. "For sinners also lend to sinners to receive as much again." The reason that a sinner would lend is to get something in return for it. "But love ye your enemies and do good and lend, hoping for nothing again. And your reward shall be great, and ye shall be the children of the highest. For he is kind unto the unthankful and to the evil. Be ye therefore merciful, as your Father also is merciful." In Galatians chapter 6, we're commanded to bear ye one another's burdens and so fulfill the law. We're fulfilling the law when we are willing to go the extra mile and not covet something for our own gain. We're told in the book of Philippians chapter 2 and verse 4, "Look not every man on his own things, but every man also on the things of others." So don't just be concerned with only yourself. I have had people make the statement to me, "If I could just make enough money to take care of me and my family, just to live on our little piece of property, that's all that I'm concerned about." Well, that is a false humility. Because what you're saying is, I'm so greedy, I'm only concerned for us four and no more. I want my little family cared for, our little piece of property cared for, nothing else. The truth of the matter is, the ability to show that I'm not covetous is if I have extra and I'm willing to use it for the blessing of others. Are you going to plan to tithe and give a tenth? Well, then you should say, "You know what, Lord, if you increase me more, I'll give more." Remember the story of J.C. Penney, who started out tithing 10%, and as the Lord increased, he gave 11, 12, 15, and by the time J.C. Penney passed away, he was giving 90% of his income to his local assembly because God had blessed him that much. He was still a multimillionaire. In Philippians chapter 2, verse 20, he said, "I have no man like-minded who will naturally care for your state, for all seek their own, not the things which are Jesus Christ's." He said, it's difficult to find somebody who's not covetous. So in our preparation, in our diligence to exercise dominion, we don't do it to just try to gain for ourselves, but we do it to say, "Hey, yes, I've taken care of what I need, even in preparation for potential problems in the future, but also so that I can be a blessing, that I'm like-minded with Jesus Christ." And he goes on to say in 2 Timothy 3:1, this also know that in the last days perilous times shall come, for men shall be lovers of their own selves, and then he says, covetous. May God help us to never have a covetous attitude in our exercising diligence, but to be willing to share and to spare as we are able to do.